Will the console wars ever end? Let's talk about it. So guys, if you saw my last video, you already know that the console wars are a thriving discussion, have been for a long time. And anytime there is an acquisition or a change in the gaming landscape, it is inevitable that the console war discussion will rise again and wreak havoc on the gaming community, a community that is supposed to come together, thrive together, exist together. Anytime there is any sort of major thing that happens, it seems to drive the communities further apart, whether you're PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo's somewhere over there. I say this because obviously with the acquisition of Bungie via PlayStation, buying them for $3.6 billion, the console war discussion has risen once again, and it's always interesting to see people's comments and thoughts on this, especially when it comes to a game that, let's be honest, can be as divisive as Destiny in terms of its community. Yeah, I think this is a pretty hot topic right now, one that I want to discuss in this video. So obviously, if you look back a couple of weeks, we had Microsoft going forward and spending upwards of $70 billion to purchase Activision Blizzard, and through Activision Blizzard they were able to get their hands on games like StarCraft, games like World of Warcraft, games like Call of Duty, so on and so forth. Overwatch is in there as well, and that's a big deal. They now own some very popular franchises that will likely see sequels, other iterations, DLCs, whatever you may call it, in the next, in the coming years under the Microsoft umbrella. And so we knew that Sony was going to feel the pressure to make a change. We knew that they were going to have to do something to say, hey, we're in this thing. Okay, you're not stopping us. We're not done yet. And it just wasn't sure. There were a lot of guesses, a lot of theories as to what Sony was going to do. And obviously, as we know from just 20 minutes ago, that Sony went ahead and bought Bungie. So this article comes directly from Kotaku, and after reading it, I found it to be very interesting. I just wanted to share it with you guys, as I think it really spurs and correlates to our conversation for this video. But it goes on to say, Sony has responded to Microsoft's record-shattering deal to buy Activision Blizzard with acquisition news of its own, announcing today it plans to buy Destiny 2 maker Bungie for $3.6 billion. Going on from there, it says that Bungie will reportedly remain an independent subsidiary of Sony Interactive Entertainment after the deal closes, leaving it free to self-publish and reach players however it chooses, according to Sony. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll get into that later. That's in contrast to past acquisitions by both Sony and Microsoft, which have seen previously multi-platform studios like Bethesda go exclusive. This is an important step in our strategy to expand the reach of PlayStation to a much wider audience. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan said in his press release, "We understand how vital Bungie's community is to the studio and look forward to supporting them as they remain independent and continue to grow." The reason that I brought up this particular article is because obviously this is the hot topic right now, and not only the acquisition of Bungie by Sony, but more so the what seems to be a very tug and war kind of thing going on with the industry. It's like two family members that aren't talking to each other, but are talking to every other family member about each other. So you got Microsoft over here and says, hey, we're not gonna lie down anymore. Okay, we got Starfield coming down the pipeline, but that's not good enough. No, we are sick of Sony beating us down with their God of Wars, Horizon Zero Dawns, their Last of Us, all that good stuff, right? They're great games. We're really happy for them, but they're being kind of greedy. So let's say we're gonna be greedy too. We're trying to make a profit. We're trying to make a stand. We're trying to make an impact in the gaming industry. And so they go and buy Activision Blizzard, and that's really good for Microsoft to make that bold step forward for the sake of Xbox players, PC players, and wherever else they have their game consoles, the refrigerator, the toilet seat, I don't know. And then Sony on the other end says, you know what, no, you can't do that. You spent $70 billion. I'm sure they texted each other. I'm sure they exchanged some words, said, really? Call of Duty? You're gonna try to take Call of Duty from us? Microsoft says, hey, it's fine. You can keep Call of Duty. We got all these other games. So then we knew it was gonna happen. Sony was gonna go on, they're gonna make an acquisition. My question for this video in particular, the real focus of this video is, when will it end? Because it seems like we are in a streaming war, Like, and by streaming war, I mean that you got Netflix, you got Peacock, you got HBO Max, you got Hulu. Everybody's vying for different properties, different shows, different movies. You got Paramount Plus over here that has, you know, the new Halo series that's going to come out in March and all this kind of stuff. And that's already difficult from a consumer perspective because you can't afford, most people can't afford all of these platforms, you know, and nor do you have the time to watch all of these platforms. You know, for myself, I give myself 2. You got Netflix, you got Hulu, maybe you throw in a third if it's worth it, like HBO Max. And for me, that's it, right? It's just too many. And you're kind of seeing that in the gaming industry now as well, where it feels very much like it's a grab bag. You got this big pot in the middle of these developers, of these publishers, and Sony and Microsoft vying for their love, vying for their attention, and saying, hey, we really want to be the top dog here. We really want to be the top dog. And, you know, they say that a lot of it is about wanting to make a bigger impact in the community. But at the end of the day, this is about exclusivity. We know this. Everybody knows it. It's about saying who's got the better games, who's making the most money. And that's fine. That's fine. And for myself, someone like myself who plays on both Sony, you know, plays on PlayStation and Xbox, you know, it's a win-win. But for anybody that only plays on one console, you just kind of feel like, man, this... You know, you're looking around, looking at the table, seeing that there are very few consoles and very few developers now, you know, big developers that are going to be producing games on multi-platforms. At the end of the day, I feel like everybody at the end, maybe by the end of this year, is going to be owned by these 2 giants. Sony or Microsoft is going to have a stake in EA, Ubisoft, everybody. You're going to start seeing Assassin's Creed exclusivity. You're going to start seeing all this stuff. And I think it's really, I don't know if I should say that it's scary. It's an interesting time to live in, and it's interesting because you can clearly see the landscape changing. Like, the gaming industry is changing in a way that in my lifetime I have never seen it done so before. And while that can be a very scary thing, I'm sure it's, you know, I'm sure as a consumer it will likely be at the consumer's benefit, depending on, you know, like I said, which side you stand on. But it makes me wonder, you know, I don't know if the streaming wars will ever end, at least until every property is owned. You know, we might even see you know, Microsoft buys Netflix or something crazy like that, where it's like, oh, now we have Netflix on our thing and you can only get Netflix on Microsoft, on Xbox, you know, whatever the case. Now, obviously that's an exaggeration. The likelihood of that happening is very rare, but again, the likelihood of Microsoft spending $70 billion is something I never comprehended before either. So at this point, you don't really know what's going to happen, but I really wish that the console wars, this whole console idea of like having exclusives and having certain games on certain consoles, I wish that would just come to an end. And I know that these companies, these mega giants like Sony and Microsoft, have to make money, and a big way to do that is increasing the pot of what their console brings to the landscape. But yeah, I don't know. Now that Sony's made their big move, now it feels like it's in Microsoft's court. And not really though, because Microsoft definitely just spent a brick of money to get, you know, Activision Blizzard. So I don't know if they necessarily feel as hard pressed, but I think Sony was the one feeling a little pressure to go out and make a big move and get somebody on their team now and say, we got to make this, you know, for a business perspective, we got to make something happen here. But yeah, I think the whole console thing is just, it's silly, man. It's kind of crazy what's happening now, where every company is being bought out and bought by these companies, you know, by Sony and Microsoft, so that they can have reigning, you know, i.e. control over what these companies do, or just to say that, hey, they're with us, you know. I think it's very interesting. It's very interesting. But again, let me know what you guys think. Do you like the console wars? Do you think what's happening in the gaming industry is interesting? Or, you know, if you're anything like me, you're watching this whole thing very closely, trying to see what the next big thing is, what the next big move is, and seeing how that is going to change the landscape of the gaming industry as we know it. But again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I always love seeing your comments, seeing what you guys have to say. This is a very interesting time that we're living in, and I can't wait to have more discussions with you about the gaming industry, entertainment, TV, movies, all that good stuff. So drop a follow or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're safe. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.